Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to have a conversation about some of the grievances some of the contestants have and just sharing our thoughts about whether or not we think that that would maybe change some outcomes or improve the experience for the contestants.
The final week of Deep Dives with Married at First Sight. I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Blair, you shared with me in previous videos, especially one of my favorite videos is the Code of Ethics video, right? Things that we expect from the experts, things that we expect from production. We even had a video in the beginning of basically will the experts redeem themselves this season and things like that. And I think I was one of the ones, if I was to be honest, yes, I was one of the ones that was very quick to put the blame on the experts, to put the blame on production. Yes, I can say, watching from season 1 all the way now, the show is very different. It feels very different. That it does feel a little bit drama-driven, but at the end of the day, the meat and the potatoes is people is coming on the show or should be coming on the show to be married.
Right.
And even with all the drama, even with all the experts in production and things of that nature, if you came here or if you joined the show for the meat and the potatoes of I want to be married, I don't see how that will be a problem with all these tools basically available to you.
Right.
So what is your how are you going to lead this conversation? Where are you going to lead me to? Are you going to lead me down a dark alley? You know, or basically, where are we going with this conversation?
We are walking towards the light.
Oh,
okay?
I don't want to die.
The light of truth.
I'm not going towards the light, okay? I'm going the other way.
So I'm going to take us point by point of some of the things I've heard some of the people complain about, and maybe a couple of things that I was thinking as well. So the first thing I want to touch on is being recruited.
Yeah, it feels icky.
How does that factor into a show like Married at First Sight? Because we heard with Denise's interview, which was a great interview per my husband, that you know, Madison and David were recruited for the process. I think I had heard Juan was recruited as well. Yeah. And people are putting it out there in the way to say, well, I didn't go out of my way to look for Married at First Sight. So, but I'm still of the belief, and maybe I could stand to have some education about what the recruitment process looks like, and is that different than people who actively seek to be on the show? But in my head, just from what I'm assuming, which could totally be wrong, I think that when you're recruited, you probably are invited to try out, so to say. Like, we see you, we would probably like you to be a participant. Could you fill out this questionnaire? Could you do these interviews? And we could see if we could find a fit for you. To me, that's what the recruitment would look like. Now, I think that whether you're recruited or not, if you decide to be on Married at First Sight, you're still signing up for a marriage and the experiment in totality. I don't think that that changes anything when it comes to the process. I think that maybe for some of the contestants, they feel like if they're recruited, then maybe that means that the way that it was propositioned to them was it's a social experiment, and we, just have you get married and you can decide if you want to leave at the end of the experience. And maybe the social experiment is pushed in order to get more people to sign up for the show, for them to have more options for matches. But I think that as the participant, you have to take a lot of the seriousness of it on, because you're the one who's actually going to be going through it. So what your thoughts about the whole recruitment commentary?
Being recruited seems kind of icky to me. Now, based off the premise that you gave, that sounds close in the sense of basically like we are recruiting you to try out. I probably would say we are recruiting you to apply.
Right.
I don't know if being recruited means that you get an automatic slot on the show. I will hope not, especially because if that's the case, if Davis talked about he was recruited, Madison was to be recruited, and Juan was to be recruited, these would be some of the worst people you had on the show throughout the franchise, right? And not so much of Juan, but so much of the David and Madison with the whole like adultery thing, right? So if we are going by people going on people's social media, DMs and things like that and recruiting, but they still got to apply and they still could be turned down, I don't know if I don't hate it, but I don't like it, right? I think for something as hard and something as serious as marriage, there has to be a want to from the participant, because literally everything after the want to is out your hands.
Yeah.
So I'm like, at least let the person who is applying to Married at First Sight, or whoever is going to be on Married at First Sight, let them have full autonomy on if they want to be on the show without any type of pressure from a recruiter or from production. That's what I would think, especially since I keep hearing that this process is very hard. It's harder than, listen, I don't doubt that it's hard.
Oh, I believe it.
Right. It's very hard. So if the experts and the matchmakers and the production have full autonomy over who is their spouse, where are they living, the honeymoon and things of that nature, I would want at least the participant to have full autonomy on being on the show without any type of recruitment.
Oh,
because
so you don't want them to recruit people?
I wouldn't. I don't think we should.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if that means that we ain't gonna have a full cast of people every season.
Maybe.
But I don't want people to. Madison said that she was single for 3 years, and that when she was recruited on the show, she said she really never watched the show, right? That she basically had to go back and basically try to spark notes the show.
And you should educate yourself on whatever you sign up for.
But how can you really educate yourself on 18 seasons? Like it's only so much you could take in a small amount of time. Only thing you know is the full premise of I'm marrying someone unseen.
And that's the part where I disagree, because if you for a job, right? If you go out for a job interview and you want this certain position.
I go out for a job interview. I want this position.
The type of person I am, I'm not just applying for any job. I want to see what the qualifications are.
Yeah.
I want to see what my job role is going to be. I want to see the kind of salary I'm going to have. I want to try to get as much of the big picture I can get so I can fully understand what I'm getting myself into. I will agree. Once you get the job, things can be a little bit different than how you anticipated it. But I think that when you sign up to do something like this, then it's up to you to gain the full knowledge. But
going back to let's start with the first thing you said out your mouth when you applied for the job. How many jobs have recruited you that basically say, hey, you should work here, and basically then you go after the fact that they suggest you work there, that you do the research?
When it comes to recruitment for my career field, I have gotten emails and different things asking me to apply for jobs.
Okay.
And as far as I understand, when I'm doing that, I still have to look into, is this something that I want?
That's fair.
Is this something that that I think that I have the skill set for? Like, can I, and then I still have to go through the application interview process, all that type of stuff. But that doesn't mean that, because somebody emailed me to prompt me to apply, to me that doesn't make a difference on whether or not
that's fair.
I give my all when it comes to the job.
Yeah, there's not a lot of jobs that I will apply to that I already don't know something about. Right. So David said he didn't see any of Married at First Sight. Right. And things like that. He never heard of it and things like that. Believe him or not, I'm just gonna take his word at it, because ain't no point of combating it, right? So that right there already is like, yes, he should educate himself, and of course, if you're gonna say, well, you know what, maybe I can do it, and then one thing that motivated him is that, as well as he was saying that his parents were just celebrating their wedding anniversary and being married for over 25 years, I think even over 30 years, and he was like, I want that, and if this can put me on the fast track to get that, then okay, hell, I do it. But even that is not a full scope of what Married at First Sight is. Right. That's why I rather people apply on their own will, on their own want to, with no recruitment from production. Right. So that here's my issue with this, and I know you have other points, and I don't want to be too long-winded. Is that I feel like one of the issues is that production got their hands in too many pots. So I will hope that at least they will remove their hands out of the whole recruitment part. Right. Yes, y'all can set up scenes and do other things throughout the marriage and things of that nature, the experts and things like that. But I will hope that when it comes to at least signing up for the show, I think it means more and matter more when I want to do it than having to be convinced to do it, right? Because if I want to do it, there's a different motivation of research I'm going to do than the research I'm going to be prompted to do because it may seem too good to be true.
Yeah.
I don't know how many junk emails y'all get, but sometimes I get these junk emails basically saying, do you want to make $200,000 in 6 months? And then you end up doing research and then you realize it's a fake company and things like that. But the thing about it is it comes off as a little janky to me.
Okay.
To be recruited for something as hard and unique as this experiment.
Okay, I hear you. All right, and I encourage you guys to, take your little notepads out or, your keyboards.
Blair, give me your homework.
And give me line by line, point by point, what you think, because you're part of this conversation too, okay? Mm-hmm. So the second one is keeping the couple separate from each other.
Oh.
And honestly, I think for a period of time in the beginning, yes, but I do like seeing that the support that they're able to give each other. The only bad thing is that when people are having a bad time, it kind of tends to spoil the bunch,
Tell me why it benefits the couples to stay separate.
It benefits them to stay separate in order to focus their energy and attention on their partner.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they're not distracted by what other women are saying about their husbands, trying to be a support system to them when they need to be a support system to their spouse first,
Here's the thing about it. The reasons why I believe that we should do separate couples because that's how it started. And I think there should be basically a pattern of, okay, we did the separate, we keep them separate for a little bit, and then now we bring them together, and now we've been putting them together for a while. I think we should go back to the old days just to keep things fresh. Right. I think that is something that will keep the viewers on their toes as well as the participants. Just something fresh, right? Mm-hmm. I do think there's something to support system, right? If you are going to keep the couple separate, I need the experts available 24/7. Mm-hmm. I don't think isolation by itself is good enough to where you have these two strangers and you just tell them be married, and there's no honeymoon. There's no honeymoon where you hanging out with the guys and hanging out with the girls and things like that. Mm-hmm. There's no experts to walk you through welcome to Married at First Sight. If there are any questions, I think what's going to happen is if you do things separate, if you keep things separate, and granted, I'm not trying to have a hostage situation, but I think people are just going to get to their norm of I'm going to go home. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to go hang out with my friends. You get what I'm saying? Because it's such a isolating experiment that I think you do need somebody there. If it's not other couples, you need an expert.
Okay.
You need somebody to walk you through it. Mm-hmm. Now, the excuse of what I've been hearing of keeping the couple separate, I don't want to hear that from someone who was in an adulterous marriage. I don't like their excuse. Basically, if I never saw so-and-so, I would have never wanted.
Yeah.
Nah, listen here. I want adults who want to be married to be on the show. So if you don't know your spouse, trust me, you don't know nobody else's spouse even more. So my whole thing is, if you want to keep eyes on your spouse, you will keep eyes on your spouse. So that's not the reason why I say keep them separate because I may lust after somebody else. I'm just saying there is a period to where it's a fresh relationship and you don't want to get into the human tendencies of looking elsewhere and looking at other couples and doing comparison.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's a killer.
And that's the thing. And you want to kind of incubate yourself to where it's this is new. Let's be scared together, But if there's no experts in the beginning process, I say just keep it what it is and just get more serious people who want to be married.
True. Next one is experts being more proactive
100%
and involved.
100%.
And I think that absolutely.
100%.
I think that like we said this before in one of our deep dives of what we think should be implemented.
Yeah.
I like the weekly counseling sessions. There's literally something going on every week that can be addressed. And I also think that when there's these big blow ups and these big arguments, for people to be left to their own devices to try to manage the rubble that's left afterwards. A lot of these people haven't been in relationships for long times or
3 years.
Yeah,
I heard somebody say,
yeah, for maybe a decade at a time. So they're not really in the practice of coming together and mending things. So I think that if the experts are looking and watching and keeping up with the footage, I think there should be a phone call to say, hey, I noticed you guys had an argument yesterday. Are you both available, sometime today to have a conversation about it?
You basically saying be intrusive, as if it's like basically look at the secret cameras and basically be like,
they already know about all this when they go to their meetings, and they already tell everybody, like when they're saying it, they're just like, we know what's been going on.
I understand that, seen it. But my whole thing is like, I think check-ins. You're not gonna. But what you said wasn't a check-in.
I think it is a check-in. I think if you see an argument to where somebody's getting locked out the apartment,
what you said was, "Hey, I was looking at the camera and I realized yesterday y'all had an argument. Do y'all want to talk about it?" That is different than a scheduled check-in and giving them the opportunity to tell you what happened. You are basically the voice of God. You know what I'm saying? So that's very different. Right.
Well, I'm for it. I think that
being the voice of God, basically.
Not being. I don't know why you throwing me all the way down that way, but I'm not saying being the voice of God. But the thing is, if they have the footage, these people know they're being recorded. And I think that if the experts see something that is really damaging happening, then they need to insert themselves. I think that the people can choose to say, "Hey, we're good," or actually, we don't think we want to do a check-in. That's totally up to them. But I think that it should be put out there, like, "Hey, you guys went through something pretty tough. I'm open to have a conversation if y'all are."
I don't know.
Yeah. Because the thing is, a lot of these people will not reach out, and given the time for a check-in, they're going to lie about what happened, even though they already know. So I'm just like, let's address it when it happens.
But here's the thing about it: when it comes to being vulnerable and earning trust, I think there needs to be actual more proactive with the experts so they can gain the trust of the participants. Just because you're an expert doesn't mean that I trust you. Just because you're a therapist don't mean I automatically trust you.
To build trust, you got to talk to me. We got to keep talking.
No. Not only do you got to talk to me, I think it has to be scheduled. It has to be scheduled check-ins, meaning that instead of saying, "Hey, I noticed," right? It's almost like a kid. Do you give enough room so the kid can come to you with the problem, or are you always the one that always going to address the kid? So I'm thinking, instead of you saying, "I noticed something," you got to have these scheduled check-ins. I say twice a week, right?
And that's fair.
I say twice a week to where you're giving enough time for them to meet with you, right? Together and singular, because maybe they won't say nothing because they don't want to offend somebody, right? And that's fair. And if that's the case, 3 times a week, right? Because I think you should meet 2 times as a couple, or maybe 2 times singular and once as a couple. Like, y'all need to be singular and together, right? You need to give the space for them to be honest with you, not to always address it when you see a problem. So that's why I'm like, I don't want to big brother this thing to where like we have cameras in every room and there's almost no privacy, because then it's always going to be some type of performative thing, right?
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin.
I think we should give them the privacy of marriage, right? The privacy, even though they are filming and even though it is shown on TV, we should give them the full autonomy if they go bring it up. Because at the end of the day, they have to prove to us that they want to be married and prove to themselves, right? Okay. The only time that I feel like that, because arguments is not abnormal when it comes to relationships, right? I think when we start crossing the lines of disrespectful, some type of verbal abuse, that's when production should step in. And we should let someone know when it endangers someone's mental, endangers someone's physical life and stuff like that. But when it comes to just like we having an argument and we're not agreeing, I put the full autonomy on the couple to be transparent with the experts.
And they do have to have some buy-in.
And yes, like listen, we know y'all argue, but if you ain't gonna bring it up, we're not gonna bring it up. Because you should want to fix this, because you should want to be married.
But the thing is, a lot of these people get in their own way. That's why I think they need a little kick up the behind a little bit.
And guess what happened? Listen, we gave you the wedding, we gave you the wife, we gave you the apartment and things of that nature. Like, you gotta have some, to your point, skin in the game, right? Don't try to smooth sail this thing. If you have a problem, closed mouths don't get fed. And at the end of the day, we only set if we're gonna hold your hand throughout the whole time, we only setting you up for your marriage to fail once we're not available. So that's why I'm like, you need to give people full autonomy.
I think they need training wheels.
And full responsibility. They need full responsibility of being like, hey, when I meet with you, with your wife, you didn't say anything. Now I'm meeting with you by yourself.
Okay.
And you still not going to say anything? Then guess what? You don't want to be married.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next one. The next one came from that interview to where Madison felt like there should be more time between the wedding and the honeymoon for you to get to know your spouse a little bit more.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't think that is great.
Help me.
I think that a lot of the times people find ways to stall out the relationship to where we're no longer moving anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I like that the pace at which Married at First Sight goes as a viewer. I understand, and I've seen in other seasons with contestants, like people have had to go to their own home. They just need a second to think. They just need some time away from that person just to kind of regroup and just kind of figure out where they're at in the situation, which I can definitely see the need to do that because this is a very intense, quick process. Not going to take that away at all. But I think that the point of that is to keep the ball rolling so that you guys realize that you're in this thing together. If we get too comfortable after the wedding, everybody goes back to their own places, or even if they go to the joint apartment and we're just hanging out and getting to know each other, people are going to, I feel like, go back into their old habits. I think that when you're getting married, you go to the honeymoon, we're plucking you out of your normal day-to-day routine so your focus can be primarily on your partner. So
I 100% agree. I don't even know what people mean when they say, give us time to get to know each other. Like, because everybody move at a different pace. So me getting to know someone for my pace, if I sign up for Married at First Sight, is like, this my wife. I'm gonna get to know her in full totality. Some people may be like, okay, I'm gonna go home and you go home and things like that. Like, you can't trust. One thing Pastor Cal say all the time is, if you come on this show, I'm paraphrasing, and you trying to date your spouse, or you trying to friend zone your spouse, Married at First Sight is not gonna work for you.
Nope.
You gotta free fall into this thing, and you have to trust, and which is hard to do. That's why it's the hardest thing. You have to trust that whatever safety nets they have applied in the sense of experts, apartments, and honeymoon, and these type of tasks and games, that when you trust fall into these nets, that it will catch you. But many times than not, you have to sacrifice or even humble your way, and you have to understand that your way of doing things didn't work. And by you signing up for the show, that's why I don't like the word recruited, but when you sign up for the show, that is you basically saying, my way didn't work, I'm going to fully trust your way. And even though the percentage and the success rate is low, that does not excuse the other success stories that of people who free fell into the experience and things like that. So I think whenever you try to put brakes to it, to Blair's point, this is meant to be a fast moving experience. Yeah. Like, this is a Ferrari. You get what I'm saying? You don't buy a Ferrari to drive at 35 miles per hour. It's useless, right? So this Married at First Sight is a Ferrari. It's meant to go fast. But the thing about fast cars is that it can handle turns very well because it's made to go fast and things like that, especially Porsche, right? So my thing is, like, trust the car. Trust the vehicle that you decided to be in. Trust it, like, okay, I'm married, I don't know you. And the thing about it is, they are just taking you to a location. What you're choosing to do at that location is 100% up to you. You can get to know them in Mexico. You get what I'm saying? But we got to film. Yes, we want to see y'all get to know each other. I feel the pressure to be romantic. You don't have to be romantic. You don't have to have sex that first night. You don't have to have sex on the honeymoon and things like that. And I think we need to understand, or they need to understand, rather, the people that's on the show, the participants, is that you have full autonomy over what you do on this camera, right? Yes, we will suggest. Yes, we will have experts. Yes, we will put you in predicaments to where you're on the honeymoon and there's a flower bed of roses and things like that. But the conversations you choose to have or choose not to have, that's 100% your choice. Michelle did not want to have conversations during the honeymoon. You know, other people did. You get what I'm saying? Akechi during that time decided to call MM her homie. His homie, right? That straight should let her know right then and there that he ain't really feeling her. So you can choose to actually do what you want with the time that's allotted to you. Juan decided to use one of the days to plan a whole day out with David. but he's married.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And he said he forgot that his wife was there. How? Give me people who are serious about the process. I think what happens is we are getting too many people who are not very committed to the process, and it's kind of coloring and shading in the people who are serious about it and things like that. And thing about it is, I think we criticize, at least for me, criticize how Camille and Thomas look, of how it looks kind of like it looked kind of stop and go. It looked kind of like jerky and things like that. But that's how two strangers getting together look. You get what I'm saying? Like, she's like, I want him to take the lead, and he's like, I don't want to be disrespectful. So it's like, that's the reality of the Married at First Sight experience.
Now I'm asking, are they having conversations with family and friends too soon?
No. Like truth be told, why? Like maybe not soon enough. Like what do like you mean too soon?
I think that they are. I think that these conversations that we're having at the wedding, to where we're sitting down with bridesmaids and cousins and parents and stuff like that.
So I'm not gonna talk to my family?
I think that you can talk. I think that we can have a good time, but I think that some of the ways that the family talks about their family member, it can shade and color the way that the person looks at who their partner is. And I think that in a relationship, some people show up differently than how they do in different relationships. And just because you know this person in this one way doesn't mean that they're going to show up for me in the way that you have experienced them. So I think that, especially more so because I think, you really can't control what people talk about, but I'm more so thinking about the day after the wedding, to when they have these like brunches with the family, like separately and individually, to get to know their partner's family.
Oh, so basically not at the wedding itself.
No, the wedding, you can talk, but these sit downs that they have like right after the wedding before they go to honeymoon, I would say totally get rid of those.
Well, this is when they come back from the honeymoon.
No, this is before they go to their honeymoon.
What conversation they having with the family before?
Carla
I know you talk about. Okay.
Yeah, all these conversations where they have to go meet with the family individually, and then their family is telling them who this person is and trying to get to know them and all this type of stuff. Well, I barely know that person. You can
remove that.
Yeah.
But my thing is, if they are at the wedding, they are going to talk to the person.
Yeah.
So even if they don't say it at the brunch, what is stopping them from saying something at the wedding?
Well, the thing is, I think when it comes to the wedding, like, people are definitely in good spirits. Folks are probably having a good time hanging out. You've got the ceremony, you've got the reception, you're kind of intermingling and everything like that. So you really, if you're doing weddings in the way, that we did ours, is basically talking to everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and have long drawn out conversations with people. I think that when it comes down to these sit downs, a lot of stuff gets revealed that I don't necessarily think that it's time to be revealed.
Okay, I agree with that.
I can understand, like, when we have like these housewarming parties after, the honeymoon, they've had a little bit of time to settle into their routine. Then I think that, okay, let's bring in the family once we've gotten to know each other a little bit. But I think that the family can, sway people's minds and way of thinking, even when it comes to the process, and they're the ones who signed up for it.
Yeah.
So I think it adds a level of too much outside noise at the beginning.
Here's the thing about it. People need to understand that these are adults signing up for the process, and your daughter or your son, you think you know them in a relationship type of way, but you don't.
Right.
David talked about he disappointed his mom and dad because I'm sure they did not think that their little baby was going to be married to one woman while basically having a whole nother relationship with another man's wife. So it's like, you don't know these people. You get what I'm saying? In that way.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say remove it if you trying to get some advice or trying to get to know them. I don't think there is no shortcuts of getting to know somebody besides getting to know that person. So talking to my auntie is not going to get to know me any better. I don't even live in the same state as my aunt.
Yeah.
I never lived in the same state as my aunt.
Some of it just be straight up, fabrications
it's just
too.
Weird.
Talking about, I think Ketchy's family member was talking about the girls like be hounding him on the street because he's such a star.
Are you secure enough that somebody may stop him because they may recognize
exactly
him?
I'm just like, some of these conversations too much too soon, and it's not even real,
and it's not even real. So that's what I agree with that. But I can't stop my crazy uncle for saying something at the wedding.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And even at the housewarming, I think we should have a family meeting separately.
Okay.
It should be housewarming with friends, no family.
Right.
Right? I don't want cousin there. You get what I'm saying? I want Emma's best friend there, the woman who's there, but I don't want the cousin there, right?
Why?
Because he's family.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, we have a separate thing for
family. We have a separate thing for family.
Right.
I think housewarming should be for friends because it keeps it light.
Yeah.
And also it sheds light on who they are in ways that their family may not know.
Right. And the type of people they choose to associate with and all that. Yeah.
So I think you should meet my friends. Now, if they don't got no friends, that's a problem. I don't think you should be with someone who ain't got no friends. I think that's a red flag to me personally. Okay. Right. Then once weeks go by after the first 4 weeks or closer to decision day, I think like maybe 2 weeks from decision day or whatever, then we should have another meeting with the family, like the actual official meeting with the family.
Yeah.
After there's been some time so you can compare some notes of what you seen based on what they said. And then you could actually make a decision on, do I want to marry in this family? Do I want to stay in this family?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I think we should actually make the meeting with the family more serious and make it a standalone episode by itself to where you invite them over or you go over there, besides making it a, hey, you get to see them at the wedding and then you get to see them the day before we go to honeymoon.
I had a great idea just pop into my head. You know how they make them do these letters to their past selves and sometimes they go to their childhood homes and all that type of thing? I think that would be a great addition to that episode of having like a family gathering or something like that to really sit down and spend time with the family to get to know your spouse on a deeper level. Yeah, that's cool.
Don't have MM on there begging to go to Houston.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But I think that will, if people want to be seriously married.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Peacock, don't steal our idea without paying us now. You get what I'm saying?
And that's everything I got. That's all our plans.
That's everything you got?
Yeah.
Listen here, Blair will be checking the comments to make sure y'all did your homework. Okay? Anything else?
That's it.
Subscribe, like, share, comment. We see y'all tomorrow with, I think, what's this? This will be Wednesday's deep dive. So we got Thursday and Friday left. We may even give y'all a little something on Saturday. But this is the last week of deep dives for Married at First Sight. Make sure y'all tap in. But this is not the last week of deep dives for all our other shows. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We see y'all.
Bye.